My name is Michael, and you're tuned into the Wild Woman Show. I hope that you know you're at the Wild Woman Show. Hello. Good morning, y'all. I'm definitely going to be recording I'm saying the same things when I'm recording on new days later in the week, because y'all will notice where I have to cut out a lot because I was cussing up a storm and I was in my rage. I was too deep in my rage to even realize what I was saying until after, when I went to go and start editing, and I realized, like, oh, she's still mad. But yeah, so like sometimes I feel like a little, y'all know, like Pixies, like Tinkerbell, when she get mad and she can only hold one emotion at a time. Like, that's sometimes how I feel, because it could be, I'll be fine for a couple days, and then it'll all get to me all at once, everything, and then I'll be mad. And most days I can handle it with just some music and it just be that. But there are other days where that shit takes a hold of me, and I feel like I'm literally the earth reincarnated in human form to make people aware of what that rage really looks like, to constantly give and love and be understanding, be honest about what it is that I can provide, and still be taken advantage of, still be manipulated, and so yeah, this is just me letting y'all know I'm human. Like, yeah, I've gotten to a place where I can logic and rationalize my way into, oh, this is a spiritual experience, which it is. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. This is school. This is school for our souls, for our spirits, if you have one. But for me, I'm still new. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any mentors, so to speak, that can guide me through this. I've already been made aware that the reason why mentors are usually come around for confirmation rather than actually telling me what to do is because at some point I am supposed to become a mentor. Don't know when that's going to happen. Don't know how that's going to happen. I don't want to mentor nobody. I want to be left alone. Like, but I've had way too many confirmations in the last year, especially because this last year has been the hardest and the most difficult part of this journey, because there have been a lot of otherworldly experiences that I've had that I can't logically explain to anybody without me sounding crazy, and that has scared me, if I'm being quite honest. In the last year, I have channeled some things that I didn't know that I had the ability to channel. I have alchemized some things and found out that I've been alchemizing my whole entire life. And the scariest thing is, a couple months ago, I was on a job and something that I haven't done since I left church. Like, the last time that I danced in church, you know how people be falling out and then they got to put the white cloth over them? That's only happened to me one other time. It was literally the week that I decided that I was leaving church, that I probably wasn't going to be coming back to religion. And it was the last time that I danced in a church. And I fell out. Crying, having communion with the Lord with the other side. This time, I was on a job. I was literally in the middle of work, and I broke down like that. And I didn't have no control over my body. I didn't have no control over what I was saying. And then once you're in it and you realize, especially when you realize it's not about you, it's about the people around you, it's about the souls around you, the spirits around you. That scared me. My bad. I'm gonna have to edit that out. But yeah, see, like, so I understand, and I can logic my way back to, oh, this is a spiritual experience, because it is essentially a spiritual experience. But I don't know if it's a Libra thing. I can only speak from my experience. I'm a very balanced person. I know my demons. I know what I'm capable of, both good and bad. But because I know that part of myself, because I've integrated that part of myself, I've worked on my shadows. I've held up a mirror to myself, like you can be vengeful. Like, if you've never done that, if you never look at yourself and be like, oh, you're capable of that, you're capable of doing that, then you don't know yourself. You don't know what real peace is. Peace is a choice. Peace is understanding, knowing what your options are, knowing what your worst options are, and then still choosing the other one, the option that's not the most dangerous or not the most violent, you know? So for me, I work very hard to not let those rage days get to me, because I'll be ready to just take anybody out that's next to me. Like, you could actually be asking if I'm okay and genuinely with good intention be looking to see if I'm okay, but I'm in a group, I'm outside. Majority of all the people outside is attacking me, and you too close. So now you gotta die because you're too close. You're too close at the wrong moment. So, yeah. I know that's bad, but like, I need y'all to understand, like, I'm having a human experience, okay? So, yeah, this video is gonna be edited a lot because my human experience started to take over. I started to get to the place where I'm like, what is even the point? What is the point of trying to save the human beings that's on the planet from themselves? Because I can't save them from themselves. They gotta save themselves from themselves. You know? You can't walk around in a daze no more. We're literally in a time where there's no excuse. At least from my perspective, there's no excuse to act like you don't see what's going on, to act like you don't see the patterns. They're very blatant. They've been very blatant for my entire life. I'm not even 30 yet. I'm the last of millennials. I'm not even 30 yet. And I've experienced like every single thing, every horrible thing that this world has to offer. Like every historical event. So yeah, I'm about to get on the bus, but just know I'm a human. Okay, so everything starts very early. My very first memory is around 3 years old. I know I'm 3 years old because of where it takes place. We were living with a specific group of people at this time, and because of that and the amount of people that came in and out of that house, I know the possibility of oh, this is a lot harder to say out loud. Okay, so yeah, so my first memory is around 3 years old. I know that because of where it is, and it is of I don't know if it's a man or a teenager. It's a possibility of both, because I am aware of several people in that house and in that time period that were essayed and groomed by an adult that was around all of us. I know that me personally, well, actually I don't know. This is the one of the memories that I don't know who the person is. I still to this day only have the remembrance of being told don't bite down. And that's like a gift and a curse. And, you know, in a way, I realized that because I had several of these instances over my life, that Western medicine describes Western medicine describes this as CPTSD, complex PTSD, because I have several traumatic experiences throughout childhood. The way that I remember things and the way that I forget things is very complex. So I actually did not remember anything about any of my essays until I was about 15 years old. That was the first time that I tried to take my life, and it was coming to the reality and the realization that not only was this my reality, but the realization that in order to protect myself, I literally wiped my memory. I not wiped it, but I buried the memory so deep that like I didn't remember anything from the last time that I was essayed to the time that I was 15 years old. And my timelines are wonky because, again, I'm just past, I'm about to be 29, so I'm just past or just under 15 years of going through the process of remembering things. And I literally have no control over what I remember and when I remember. So my very first memory, that's my very first memory ever. Then I was a very smart kid. I actually, that same memory, that same year, that was probably like, I want to say it was towards the end of me being 3 years old, because it was right before I had started school. I started school 2 years early, and I went straight to kindergarten because I was at that time fluently speaking Spanish, and I was learning Hindi and Mandarin. Hindi I was learning through movies. My family and we've always like watched Bollywood movies, and then we have family, people we consider family, who at one point had allowed us to stay with them. So that experience as well, it has impacted, and that ability to like see and grow up around people from the Indian culture influenced my ability to pick up on the language. And then Mandarin, I don't know why I was learning the Mandarin. I really don't know any Mandarin anymore. I think I know shit, and I can't remember what that means. But yeah, so I was very smart. I started school early, and I went straight to kindergarten. Thanks to my godmom being the principal at the private school my older sister was going to, Heirs of Promise. I was able to get admission and to start that early, and go straight to kindergarten with my teacher, my very first teacher, Miss Jackson, who was also, they were both my godmom and Miss Jackson were a part of my church. So everybody that I was around at that time, as far as my education, were also a part of the church that I was going to. So I had a community that not only recognized my intelligence, but were doing everything they could to nurture it. So first, that's like the beginning of my life. By the next year, for turning 5, because my birthday is in October, so when I started school, I was 3 and I turned 4. By the next year, my mom couldn't afford private school anymore, because instead of just me and my older sister going to school, it was now going to be me, my older sister, and my younger sister. Me and my younger sister are literally back to back in age. We're 11 months and 26 days apart. She's September 17th. I'm October 21st. 96, and she's 97. So like literally and we moved from North Jersey, Plainfield, New Jersey, to Willingboro, New Jersey. And my mom had decided to move to Willingboro, New Jersey because up until that point it had been a great school district as far as education, and she thought, based on the information that she had at that time, that it would be the best place for us to move to. So once we moved to Willingboro, that's where things start to get they start kind of going a little downhill as far as my education. So because of my age, they initially put me back where I was supposed to go. Because of both my birthday and my age, I was 4 years old at the time when I was starting school. They put me right in pre-K when I was prepared to go to first grade. And I was actually prepared to go further because I was also like hanging out with my older sister and looking at her work and able to pick up on like simple mathematics, like the basic times tables and all of that. I was reading on a middle school level, and I'm 4 years old at this point, 4 about to turn 5. So they put me in pre-K. That lasted a few weeks. I literally ended up, I think I got kicked out because I fought somebody over some blocks. I don't know. That was a weird time. But my mom, she had to go like appeal to the Board of Education, like a lot, in order for them to even agree to me just staying in kindergarten and doing kindergarten over again in their school district. Only problem with that is they were behind. And I was ahead. Like, they were just learning ABCs, colors, numbers, all of that. I don't even remember if they were learning a second language. But mind you, the year before, I was already speaking Spanish fluently. I was already learning a second and a third language. I could already read on an elementary school level, and by the time that I get to the public school, I'm reading on a middle school level. So it was very difficult. And on top of all of this, I had a severe stutter, and because of the essays, and there was at least 3 people from the first memory to about, I want to say 8 years old. Again, my memory is very wonky because I remember things vividly, but not in its entirety. I remember right before what's going on and right after what's going on, and I've only been able to confirm who one person is, like for sure, and to the fact that they're doing their own healing, and we were able to have a discussion where they did like make it known to me, like, look, I'm a part of the problem. I'm a part of the reason why you have this healing to do. And it's because they were also groomed. Okay, so the reason why I'm not pressed about me being homeless and living in the woods and the day to day of how I'm going to make my few dollars stretch, especially since it's now July 5th and I still don't have my EBT card, is because, like I told y'all, I'm preparing myself to become an anthropologist. And I've already given y'all a rundown of what an anthropologist does, but this, as uncomfortable as this part of my life has been, I have found comfort in it because it's necessary. I know what it is that I'm going to do, and this is preparing me for that reality. At some point, to disconnect what I think is reality, to disconnect what I believe is the right way to do things, what I believe is the most comfortable way to do things, and to allow myself the space and the freedom and the creativity and the blank slate, really, to have a mindset that would be open to the other cultures and communities that I eventually want to take part in. Like, I'm not trying to be a colonizer, take a colonizer's mindset when I go to these places, wherever I end up. I want to be in a mind space, in a headspace, in a mentality that recognizes the importance of other cultures, the importance of other traditions, of other practices, and is able to respect that and participate in that without saying every 5 seconds, without saying things like, oh, there's too many bugs, or why y'all live in a hut? Why y'all live in a cave? Why y'all, you know how us Americans sound. Like, you know how we sound. So it's this was not the way that I planned on doing it. I planned on doing it from the comfort of me having a camper van, to have the comfort of what I knew, to go back to whenever I chose. But things turning out this way has actually forced me to and pushed, not even forced, it's really pushed me further into the breaking, the decommissioning of the mindsets and the reality in which I was living, because I was trying to do things in an incremental way, where I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna still have like the in-between of being outside and being in a house by having a camper van, and then I get to choose when I go outside. But that's not gonna be how it's gonna be for me when I go and I do my research to live amongst these communities. I'm literally gonna be going from whatever is my quote unquote comfort at that time to whatever their comfort is. And if I can't cope, if I don't know how to adapt to such swift and drastic changes, then I'm going to be doing the opposite of what it is that what I'm saying and what I have been actively working and saying that it is that I want to do. So like homeless, like this part of the process, like this was always part of the process. Me not having a home to go to was not a part of the process, but that's not even really the case. It is a choice, because I have a few beings, whether they're blood related to me or not, that are willing, or at least say they're willing, to allow me a space to like be inside. But I know that that's going to take me reverting back to the same mindset that they are in, that I was raised in, and I quite literally can't afford that right now. I'm not done with writing, but I'm like at my end. I'm at not my end, but an end. And anthropology was always the next step. Taking whatever steps necessary to get to that, whether it be going back to school, whether it be just going to various countries that have indigenous groups that I can be a part of and interact with, was always part of the plan. But if I were to choose to accept people saying, oh, I want to help you, I want you to come stay with me, as well as what they're expecting, what they're not saying, what they're not saying is, I want you to go and get a 9-to-5 like I got. I want you to go and get a warehouse job like I got. I want you to go and work at a job that requires you to have no time to question who it is and how you are and why you are the way that you are. And because I have that understanding of not only of myself, but of the people around me, I got to a point where I decided, and I was like, respectfully, like, I appreciate what you're saying and what you're saying that you want to do for me, but this requires me to give up on my dreams, and I'm not doing that. I don't, like, y'all are gonna get to know me, but I'm very, as Libras, we are indecisive, because and also being on the spectrum, on the neurospicy spectrum, wherever I land on it, very all over the place, I want to consider all the possibilities, all the consequences of all the actions that I could take, of all the things that I could do and say, and all of that. But on the flip side of that is, once I come to a decision as a Libra and a neurospicy, once I come to a decision and I commit to something, I am committed. I'm not, what do you mean? It's hard. Like, what do you, like, I know it's hard, but like, I already said that this is something that I'm gonna do. I already said that this is something that I'm gonna complete. I already told myself that this is something that I want to have on my lifeline. On when I look back at my life in 80 years, in 70 years, I want to be able to say, I said I was going to do that at this time. And even though it took longer, or even though it was harder than I expected it to be, I did that. And as a former people pleaser, as a healing, not even former, I'm still a healing people pleaser. Like, I have abandoned myself. I have abandoned my dreams. I have abandoned my goals. I have abandoned the energy that I needed for myself to sow and do and create for other people for too long. So I'm now at the phase in my life where I'm literally like, nah, like, yeah, I appreciate you saying I can stay here, but you want me to spend more than what I'm currently making from the job that I do have. And I know that the job that I do have is the only one that I can tolerate on an energetic level. Because people are only, most people, especially here in America, their only measure of currency is money, is money that's not real. That's literally a debt note from the government stating that they owe us money. And you can look this up. You can look up the history of money and what it means and what each of, like, money is monopoly, bro. It's literally monopoly. So if you haven't already come to that conclusion, if you haven't already done the research to get there, do the research. I suggest you do the research. It's going to piss you off, but you are prepared for that knowledge. You have to be prepared for that knowledge. So I'm in a place where my bank account, my currency bank account, it's not based on this physical world. It's based on my energy. It's based on how much of my spirit is this going to take for me to do this. It's based on how much of my sanity is this going to take for me to do this. Is this going to set me back? Is this going to put me in debt? Or is this going to bring in the abundance that I wanted to create for myself, that I know that I'm capable of creating for myself? So, yeah. So, for as far as this whole living situation and me accepting this as my reality, that's the reason why. All right, so yeah, y'all getting this talk head and head again because for the first time in years that I've had this computer in my phone, my videos are being corrupted and they're not playing all the way, or they're just not here. So I'm filling in things as best I can. All right, so piggybacking off of the last clip, um, in my research of things, as a writer, and like first I was an avid reader. I've always, like, I told y'all a little bit about my start in life, and then um, becoming a writer that had to, my pleasure of just reading became my job, of taking in as much information as possible, as well as just positioning myself and manifesting honestly to find the truth. Like, that is my life's work, is to find the truth, to go down as deep as I can go down the rabbit hole to figure out, find out, and be able to accept the truth. And the truth of the matter is, it's a whole lot deeper than we think it is. And even, I know, even where I'm at in things, in my knowledge of things, I still have so much more to learn and to go, in the physical realm and in the spiritual realm. So yeah, so my research of the history of money, of laws, of the United States, of slavery, of black people, of the names of countries, the when the names of those countries changed, when the indigenous people that lived there suddenly didn't live there no more, or stopped being in existence, and a whole nother group of people, along with the new name of the country, started living in that area. um all of these things that we just take as, oh, that's just how society works, that's just how civilization works. No, it works that way because whoever won the war, whoever wiped out the people. Whoever dominated that area was the one that got to write history. And do if I mean, let's be very real with each other. How often have the people that have won these wars written the truth of everything, of their part in things, of them taking things away from people? Like, the entire United States history says that white men discovered and did all these things, but in reality, they stole not only the people, black people, from our places of our homes, our countries, our statuses, but they stripped us of our knowledge, they stripped us of our cultures, they stripped us of our spirituality, and they reinserted themselves as God, as the creator of various things, in order to make us perceive them, whoever the us is, perceive them in a certain light. They are very aware that how they choose to define things, the words that they use, the manipulation tactics that they use, are just that, manipulation tactics. So if you're not someone who questions everything, then you're just like, oh, it's just the way the world works. But if you're someone like me and you've literally questioned everything since you were born, then this don't make sense. So in my constant like question of, why doesn't this make sense? Why doesn't the world make sense to me? Why do I feel so sensitive to everything that's happening? Why? I'm always asking why. That put me down the rabbit hole of, doing deep dives on the history of everything. So some of the things I've come across, it has answered those questions, have answered my whys. And some things that, well, honestly, majority of the things that I found have only made me ask more why questions. So yeah, so between that, and then my cycles with various personalities, throughout my life. Some of them, obviously, in the beginning, like a part of my life, adolescence, those are not my fault. But continuing them, perpetuating the relationship dynamics that I had, and with new people that had the same personalities, that was my responsibility to figure out why I was in these loops, why I still had these certain and same type of people around me all the time, why I was still dealing with the same issues, why I was still having the same battle with depression, and all of these things that Western modern language defines as this and that. Okay, so me being open to surrendering to the process of being homeless has helped me to have, like, first have the time to do the work. Now that I've done all this research, now I've been in the position for the last couple months where I can do the work with myself of calming my nervous system. Because if you're in America, and especially if you're a black person, there is no way that your nervous system is calm. If you're constantly spending all your time and energy in a job that literally drains you of everything, by the time you leave, before you even get there, you're drained, then you don't have time to calm your nervous system. If you are spending all your money on food that is literally poison because you can't go and pick a piece of fruit off of a tree, because all that's planted in the area are male trees that cannot produce any fruit, because the government literally did that. They literally wrote a law where they have to make sure that a certain amount of male trees, is why we have hay fever and all this pollen going around in the springtime with nowhere to go. If you don't know that, if you don't understand that, if you don't understand what that does to your psyche, to go to a job to make money, not enough money to pay your bills, and then you go and you buy food and you put it in your body that's not natural, that everything in it, pretty much everything in it is a chemical, because you don't have access to the food, and so on and so forth. I could go on and on and on. Then you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, you don't have the mindset to be able to do what's necessary to calm your nervous system, to figure out why it is the what you are the way that you are, why you have these specific issues going on with your health, whether it's mental health or your physical health, why you are constantly in these certain types of cycles. So me being out in the woods has like literally given me the time that I've needed to connect the dots. I've been very intelligent, I guess you could say, in being able to do the research, but I didn't start to become wise enough to actually understand all of the information that I've been collecting for 20 almost 30 years actually. Well, let's say 25, because yeah, let's say 25 years. I haven't had the time to connect all the research that I've had because I was going to a job that had me exhausted from before I even step in the door, and paying for things that you literally shouldn't be paying for because the creator gave us everything for free. Why are we paying for water? Why are we paying for food? Why are we paying for places to sleep when literally no one can own what the creator created? The fact that anybody can say that they own, so, and then in the US, we can't own anything. Not really. You literally can't own anything. You're always being taxed. So that means that you never own anything. So all of these things, all of these realities, all of these illusions, all of this information, some of it easily and readily available, if you're willing to do the research, and some of it not so readily available. But still, if you're willing to do the research, it's out there for you to find and for you to figure out and understand and really start to question what it is that you believe and why it is that you believe it. This all contributes to me having the understanding that this entire process from birth, is spiritual. Yeah, I can put names, Western names on things because that helps people to understand and identify with what I'm saying, because that's how we've been set up to perceive things. But for me, I've reached the point where I understand that it's just another way for the powers that be to A, control the narrative, and B, capitalize. Because if you don't have time to work on yourself, for yourself, by yourself, and you are taking time out to go to someone else to define for you using the verbiage that they have been given, that they have been trained to give these specific things, then when do you have time to question whether or not it was training for whatever it is that you have to continue to go through or you have to go through in the future? Because I know for me, new levels, new devils. Every single time I do this type of process where I end up in, it's not exactly the situation I'm in now, but where I'm going through hardships back to back to back to back to back to back to back. It's usually right around the time where I'm about to elevate, I'm about to get to a new level of me being able to use all the information, the time that I've been using that information, and the plans that I have been making to apply what I've learned, to help be a part of the change that I want to see in order to be comfortable enough to have kids and bring new life into this world, um, is spiritual. It has to be, because the creator created everything, So yeah, back to the regularly scheduled program. The spirituality of it all is I'm tapped in, bitch. I'm tapped in because I realized this a couple different times over the last year and change, but I think like today, June 23rd, is like really day, and it makes sense. It's an 11-day, 6 and 5. I'm an 11 life path. No matter how you put it, no matter what numerical scale you put on it, that means I have a high. I've been on this planet. I've done this a few times. So like spiritually, I'm at a higher rank than most of the beings on this planet. I still am not at the highest rank. I still got a lot more lives to live. but I'm high enough where it's not a breeze, but it's familiar. Doing this, being in the uncomfortability, getting comfortable in the uncomfortability of this walk and choosing a spiritual path is a little bit more comfortable for me because I'm aware of what comes next. And like I said, if people can only attack you in groups, if they can only scream at you in groups, if they can only chastise you in groups, if they can only shame you in groups, if they can only try to bring you down in groups, in group settings, then you're powerful, bro. I need you to take that in. Not only are you powerful in this skin, in this timeline, in this realm, in this dimension, but you are powerful in all of the timelines, all of the realms, all the dimensions, all the possibilities in which you have made it to this point of you getting attacked. I said, because even though it is a little bit easier for me to do this, especially now, like a year on and off, I still have bad days. I still have bad moments. I still have bad weeks. I still have bad months. Like, this has not been no picnic ride. There have been a lot of times where I have been wailing, not sobbing, wailing. And when I used to like be in church and I was in the drama ministry, I was in all the ministries, but when I was in the drama ministry specifically, and we did the crucifixion, and I had to be like one of the wailers, and I was able to take on that, what it means to wail, what it means to really like breathe in that way easily. And I never understood why I was able to take that on, but now I understand, because going through this process, I've now, like, in the actual present moment, had like these complete breakings of my spirit, like, and I think it was necessary, because you can't make something new with the old stuff. You gotta break it. You gotta make space for the new shit. You can't hold on to who you were. You can't hold on to how you did things. You can't hold on to your routines. You can't hold on to who you think is going to be in your corner. God is literally going to strip all of that. Okay, I want to make something very clear. Like, yes, this has been a scary process. Yes, I am sometimes terrified of my power. I'm terrified of the things that I'm learning, not only about our histories, but also about myself, and my ability to literally survive anything. But I'm also, with everything going on, I am so grateful that I decided to trust the process, because y'all see what's going on? Y'all see how the world is changing and repeating patterns that none of us want to repeat. And we know the consequences of repeating those patterns. And as terrifying as this process is, my hope is, my hope is that my process, my willingness to share with you all what's going on with me, what I've been doing to regulate my nervous system, to find my way back to love, and to deal with people with love no matter what they do or say. Yeah, I have angry moments, rage days, and all of that, but I do always find myself coming back to a place of love, because I personally truly believe that is the only thing that's going to heal this world. But my hope is that my journey, my process, will be exactly what somebody needs to hear, to know that they're going to make it, that whatever happens next, we're all going to make it. We're gonna make it through this, and we're gonna come out on the other side loving each other more than we have ever loved each other in the most recent history. Okay? So have a little hope, y'all. Because if we let go of hope, then that means that they have won. All the people that are trying to erase hope from the planet. And we can't afford to let them win. I can't afford to let them win. So I'm gonna continue to have hope. I'm going to continue to try to wear a smile every day. And I hope you guys can find the power and the strength to do the same.